Action.
Action.
Welcome, everybody, to Kevin and Drew Talk Movies. Hell yeah. It's the Wristcutters of Oz today. Going down on the downtown now. Yeah, we're just chilling, having a couple of fancy beers.
Fancy beer.
And we're about to talk us some movies. Did that make sense? Yeah, I chose The Wizard of Oz, which is a classic movie.
And then I chose a movie that's kind of, I really enjoy it. It's Wristcutters, a love story.
That's right. And before that, we'll talk about any other movies we've seen in the past few weeks, and then we'll jump into it. So let's hit that music and do us up a snapshot. Hold on. Let me grab the clapper board for this.
Grab it.
Ready?
I'll do the fancy beer.
Snapshot. So yeah, all right, let's get down to it. Before we go into the movie, any other movies we saw, I did watch the Oscars for the first time.
No shit.
Ever.
No shit.
In my life, I watched the whole thing.
No kidding.
It's like 3.5 hours or something like that.
Too long.
I kind of liked it. I enjoyed it, dude. It's because I saw a lot of the movies that were from last year that were nominated. You know, like Everything Everywhere All at Once. That shit cleaned up, bro. It got so many awards.
I kind of figured it would. Yeah, it was great.
It won like 7 awards, nominated for 11, I think, something like that.
Brendan Fraser was nominated for Oscar too, wasn't he?
He won Best Actor.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I was so happy.
Yeah.
Was happy for him. Yeah, and then All Quiet on the Western Front won a couple things, which I saw. Have you seen that one?
No,
It's
I'm
Netflix.
not even aware of that
It's
one.
like a foreign, like a German war. It's like
Okay.
a world war, but German or something.
Like the German perspective of it.
I think so. I could be wrong. Don't quote me
I don't
on
know,
that.
maybe. Like,
I was hoping that the Banshees of Inisherin would have won something. They were nominated and shit, and like Barry Keoghan for like supporting actor and shit. I love him, dude. He's good. But yeah, they didn't win. But I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it. It was fun.
right on.
But yeah, did you watch anything else?
Oh yeah, so
Give me one.
so it's a movie that you would probably never watch.
Bring your mic down.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Closer.
Sorry.
Closer?
You can move it, but like
Closer still.
that's good.
So I watched. I bought it because I'm a fucking huge nerd. But I bought the new Dragon Ball movie, and it's like the best one. I love it, man. It's fun. The story is good. The thing I like about it,
that it existed.
the thing I like about it is that it kind of focuses more on two of the side characters throughout the whole movie instead of the main characters. God damn it!
This camera will be the death of me. No, but
Fucks us every time.
So yeah,
This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass.
that's right. So Dragon Ball.
Yeah, it was fun. It's a great watch.
That's an animated one. It's
Yep.
not live action. is it?
No.
Have they done a live action? No. Huh?
Yeah, they have.
They have?
It was
It's terrible.
fucking terrible. In fact, we're not even going to talk about it further.
Oh, yeah.
It's painful.
Trying to forget it.
Yep, tried. It's hard to though. But some actual live action movies I watched. I watched The Matrix Reloaded just because
Okay.
they're the
I
movies.
still like the first one. I don't know how many times I've seen the second one, or if I have or not.
So I mean I love the first movie.
Of course.
The second one, is silly, but there are some really cool action set pieces in it, and specifically the one that I always go back to is there is a scene where Neo kind of gets trapped with all these like they're basically like older agents of the Matrix, like they're like obsolete programs, and he has to fight them. And it's just one of the coolest fight scenes I've ever seen in any movie. It's just very, very well choreographed. And there's a couple scenes like that in that movie. The highway chase scene is really cool. And the reason I like that stuff is because it's all live action. It's like very like tedious stunt work and models and stuff. What I don't like about the movie is it's what kind of introduced that first wave of like everything being CGI'd, and so there was some there was some stuff in the movie that was just so complicated they couldn't shoot it live action. They had to animate it with like CGI, but the CGI was still like it was
like early stages of
it wasn't even early stages, but it hadn't developed to where it is today, to where it looks much more realistic than its prior counterparts. In this one, it literally there are some scenes in the movie it literally looks like a PlayStation 2 game, like, and it's just,
you're talking about Reloaded.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's just hard to get around that disconnect.
Oh yeah.
Like it was like very, especially this
CGI does take me out of movies sometimes.
and it was like really hard not to notice it, especially because it did not age well. And it's just like, oh, okay, well, this is an entirely computer generated scene. Like this,
yeah.
This kind of sucks, especially compared to some of the stuff in the movie where they're literally having like a martial arts fight with weapons, and it's all like live action. And you know they probably did like 100 takes on this one scene, and it looks so good. And then you compare it to some shit like where Neo is like fighting like 100 agents, and it looks like a computer game, and you're like, this is fucking whack.
Speaking of which, that game was pretty cool. Like on PS2, I think it was.
Yeah, the Path of
Matrix
Neo.
one.
Yeah, it was actually
that was pretty good.
I'm gonna say the movie though, and I love this movie, and I went and watched it last week. It's called The Gentleman. It's if you haven't seen it,
The Gentleman.
Yeah, it's got Matthew McConaughey and Charlie Dunham in it. And basically,
never heard of it.
Matthew McConaughey is a drug dealer, but he's a drug dealer in England, and it's a Guy Ritchie movie. It's really, really fucking good.
Hell yeah!
I recommend watching it, man. I think you would really like it.
Where'd you watch it?
So I rented it, but it's on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
I just don't have Netflix anymore.
I got Netflix.
But it's a fucking good movie. It's one of Matthew McConaughey's best roles, dude. It's a good. It's a like. If you like Goodfellas or movies like that,
yeah,
you'll fucking really like this movie.
Goodfellas is amazing. Great movie.
Yeah, it's I'm not saying it's like as good as Goodfellas, but it's a good fucking movie,
Might
dude.
have to check
Especially
that
the way the ending wraps up. Like,
what's it called again? One more
it's
time?
called The Gentleman.
The Gentleman. Interesting.
There's some other movies I watch, but I'm from this day forward, I'm gonna start
jotting them down.
Jotting them down, yeah. So
all right, well, let me throw one at you.
Yeah, go for it, man.
I didn't watch a whole lot. It has been a few weeks since we recorded one, but I've been playing Red Dead, so that's been cutting into my movie time. But it's fine. I got like 3. So Black Swan is the first one. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Natalie Portman, Mila Kunis.
Yep.
That was my first time watching. Weird movie, man. Super weird. And was it like a drama thriller?
Yeah, I think it's like a psychological thriller.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ballet dancer.
Because I think it's very much so like deals with like malnutrition and the intensity of being a ballet dancer, and like especially being like the premier ballet dancer.
Yeah,
and having all that pressure
and just like
on you.
Ego too. Part of it,
exactly.
Because like Mila Kunis is kind of gunning for the same part, or so she thinks. You know, I don't know. Well, and she gets into her head a lot. Yeah, it gets all weird.
I think it plays really well with the narrator not being reliable, and you're kind of left to, as an audience member, to dictate what is surreal and
what's in her mind and what's what's really going on.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what's so cool about that movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of like shocking imagery in that movie. Some cringy shit, you know. It's like she peels back her like hangnail or whatever.
Yep, from her toe, because ballerinas have fucked up toes because of how they have to put all their weight on them all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a Darren Aronofsky too, I think, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that's correct.
Did The Whale and The Wrestler. Good stuff. Yeah. I watched Precious. You heard of this one? It's the
Yep, I know of it. I've just never seen it.
Yeah, the big black girl. It was decent. I cried a little.
Well, if it made you cry, then you must have liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was the whole point of this movie, but it was to try to make you cry. It's kind of like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah,
it's like purposeful. It's like the intent is to make you emotional.
Right. Yeah. It's like a 16-year-old girl. She already has 2 kids from her father, which is
yikes, big yikes.
It's a whole fucked up family situation. Yeah, I mean, it was worth a watch, but I don't know if I'll ever go back to it. And then the last one was Milk. You know this? This is the Sean Penn.
Yeah, the Sean Penn he won the Oscar for, yeah.
Yeah, James Franco, Josh Brolin, Emile Hirsch, they're all in that.
Yeah, he plays the openly gay senator who was like one of the first to partition for gay rights. Yeah.
Yes,
it's based on a true story.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little distracted due to, like, I don't know, text. I was texting someone, so I didn't pay 100% attention, but I pretty much caught the whole movie. Yeah, it was pretty good. Decent, important story. I'm all for it. So, yeah.
It's historic, yeah.
So, yeah. Did you think of any of the other ones you watched or no?
Yeah. So, one of the other ones I watched was another movie that I fucking really love. It is a superhero movie, kind of. Deadpool. I love that movie. It's so funny.
The first one?
Yeah.
I actually saw that in theaters.
Yeah, it's fun,
which is rare
it's
for me.
Self-deprecating, and I don't know. I think it's one of the ones where it's ironic how well it translated to the screen, despite the fact that it's so true to the comic. Like,
yeah.
I just, and you know, it's one of those comic book movies too where there are some that I've gone back and watched. Like, I mean, I'm like Mike. I do like a lot of the comic book movies.
There's a few. There's a couple that I like. I like the Joker. The Joker was cool.
That's
and
great,
I will
man.
probably definitely go see the next one. That's, you know, apparently Lady Gaga is Harley Quinn.
Huh.
You didn't know that?
No. I don't know.
I don't know how I feel about that either.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I don't
is
think
she a good actress? I don't know. I didn't watch A Star Is Born.
Oh, that's a good. I think you would like that movie, man. Actually,
I think Bradley Cooper's a little overrated.
I think it's a fair statement, but that's a good ass movie.
Yeah.
So this is a Silver Linings Playbook. Like,
I saw that.
Yeah. What I will say is, as far as like superhero movies go, it's super accurate, but it's just like, I think it's done with enough leeway to, I think that's what makes it so good, is like they were really like allowed to kind of embrace everything and like be silly and break the fourth wall, but still be well done enough to where it was received as well as it was. Mm-hmm. And I think now it's so saturated and it's just such an easy way to make money. The quality of those movies is just nowhere near what it used to be, because like it's like, you know, they're like, oh well, this is the end thing. It's kind of like how action movies were in the 80s and 90s. It was the you know, the popular movie set piece. So they knew if they like had the right, you know, these famous actors, they could just bullshit a script and throw them in this scenario with big explosions. And the superhero movies have basically become 80s and 90s action movies, like big explosions, you know, like 30-minute CGI fights, like, and it's boring. It's getting really boring to watch. And that's kind of what I appreciate about Deadpool, is there isn't really a lot of CGI in this movie. I mean, there's some, but it's just enough to like kind of patch all the...
It's tastefully done.
Yeah, it's tastefully done, so you don't like see the seams of the movie. It's done just enough to where it's there's no movie magic revealed when you're watching the movie.
Sure.
And it's, like I said, it's true to the comic book. It's like Ryan Reynolds was made to play that character. He fucking nails that character, and it's great.
Also, T.J. Miller's in that.
Yeah, that's
like
the other,
Miller.
and that's the other thing is that movie is just so funny, man.
It's got jokes.
Like that, he's like, you really should put your mask back on because your face is haunting to look at.
Does he call him like a ball sack or something? I don't know.
He says, your face looks like a topographical map of Utah got fucked by Freddy Krueger.
Jokes. All right. Is that it? Anything else?
Nothing that I could think of. I'm sure there was others, but those are the four that stood out the most.
I've been rewatching Freaks and Geeks lately. That's been fun.
I definitely want to go back and rewatch that show.
It's good, man. Linda Cardellini is so adorable. But yeah, let's say we get into a movie.
Yeah, let's do it.
You mind doing Wristcutters first?
That's actually what I wanted to do because I think we both got a lot to say about Wizards.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I'm gonna let you lead this part of it, man, because I've seen this movie quite a few times, so I kind of want to hear your opinion on it. Get your thoughts.
Wristcutters, a love story, 2006 romance comedy. Director Goran Dukic, I guess. 67% on the tomato meter, 82 with the audience score. It's not bad. A couple of taglines. Life's a trip, but the afterlife is one hell of a ride.
I think that's a pretty good one, actually.
Like that one, the other one is love will always exist, even after you've offed yourself.
That one's perfect, man.
Yeah,
that one is perfect for this movie. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is a very interesting movie, man. I mean, it's a good concept. I like the idea. You know what I mean? And I did enjoy watching it, but like, I don't know. There's like a few small critiques I have about it, but I'm not.
Go ahead, man. Yeah. I love it.
I mean, I think just some of the acting wasn't the best.
Sure.
But it wasn't distracting or nothing like that. It wasn't too awful, you know. But no, I really do like it. I like the story. I like how they've tried to create this world and shit, and it's interesting. Like, it opens up and he's like cleaning his room before he kills himself.
Yeah, and I think but I think like there are like I think that's like fucking. That's that level of like kind of funny, like where it's like you're not really sure if it's funny haha or just funny strange how like kind of not too off base that is for like real life where people like do that shit before they kill themselves. It's like something like you really shouldn't laugh
gives a fuck, right? Like, why would you go through all the trouble of cleaning your whole room? You're just gonna kill yourself. And I guess it's for the people who find you. I guess you're being considerate to.
And I think that kind of speaks to Zia's character though too, where he's a little bit of an asshole, but at the same time he like can be pretty considerate. Dude, I love his interactions though with his roommate in the beginning.
Oh yeah, that guy who I've seen. And
you have to pee when you have to sit down when you pee if you're gonna live in this apartment.
How hard is that to remember? Yeah, what have I seen that guy in?
Let's look it up, man. Because I know I've definitely seen him.
I know he's just one of those guys who just pops up places, and you're like, all right, this guy.
This is gonna require a Google. Hold up,
give
real
it
quick.
A goog.
Give it a goog.
No, but yeah, it's crazy how they. I don't know.
Kind of having trouble putting your finger on exactly what you're trying to get at.
Yeah. This guy's first movie, this director?
I'm honestly not sure, man.
I think I read that could be wrong, but it's a very interesting debut film. If it is his first, I mean, he's on a good track. I feel like. Did you find it? You looking at the?
I'm looking at the cast right now, and
He's not in there.
No, he is. I'm thinking it's this guy. Abraham Reuben Hercules Ben Ruby, I think is what his name is.
That's a hell of a name. Oh yeah. Abraham Ben Ruby.
Yep.
Yeah, what the fuck is he in?
So he's in Twister.
Oh, what is he in Twister?
He is Bubba. And then in
I don't remember him in
George
Twister.
of the Jungle, he plays one of the thugs named Thor.
That might be where I most know him. Without a Paddle, Seth Green and them, Dax Shepard.
Oh yeah, he plays
he was
Dennis,
he was like the pot farmer who like tries to shoot him and shit. But yeah. Anyways.
Hold on, I'm
still looking.
I think it is George of the Jungle. He plays the thug, where he gets like his like
it's
underwear.
It's been forever since I've seen George of the Jungle.
He pulls like his underwear over his head and shit. Yeah. I think that's the one I remember him from most too.
Yeah, dude, I like that guy. And speaking of other people, like towards the beginning, the bartender guy with the crazy face, his eye. I was like, where the fuck do I know this guy from? And he's from House of a Thousand Corpses. You know who I'm talking about?
I know exactly.
The guy, his like eyes are kind of far apart.
Yeah.
He just looks really crazy.
And then Nick Offerman plays the cop.
I know.
I didn't even. So I had seen that movie a bunch of times.
I
didn't even realize that. Yeah, until I watched it.
Got like the shot.
Yep, he
blown
was
out of the top of his head.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, for the people. Let's try to explain the plot, I guess. It's kind of a purgatory thing, right?
Yeah.
For people that kill themselves.
Yep. So it's a purgatory for people that commit suicide. And
you can't smile apparently in that world.
But
it's not. It's like his life, but slightly worse apparently.
Yeah.
It's like regular.
Yeah, it very much like is what like purgatory is kind of described to be like. It's like real life, but just a little bit worse. Essentially, it's just there's no joy, and that's kind of like why when you meet Macaw, why she's so bothered by this place, because she can't smile. There's no joy. She gets caught vandalizing something, and
yeah, she's always vandalizing shit throughout the movie.
And that's kind of, I think that kind of speaks though also to purgatory, that there's still like cops in purgatory like that try and enforce rules. Like,
yeah,
you're all dead, so what does it fucking matter? Like, it's kind of that's I think is kind of part of the genius of the movie, is like there are these situations where it's like we're all dead people, so why are you trying to enforce rules? Because none of this shit matters anymore. Like, there's no money.
It's got a
there's
point.
No like it's just, I don't know. I think there's there's a lot of stuff that now that I've watched this movie a bunch of times, it's very tongue in cheek. Like the whole. One of my favorite lines comes from Tom Waits' character towards the end of the movie, where they're doing like the ritual suicide again because
Will
Arnett is trying to like ascend space and time and become like a godlike figure.
Yeah,
and and Tom Waits is like, oh man, come on, you know how much that hurts. Nobody would do that again. and then he stabs himself in the stomach. He's like, oh shit, he actually did it. And it's just like so funny. Because it's like really the worst part about this purgatory that all these people are in is that they are so oblivious and narcissistic to their surroundings that they haven't learned their lessons from the past life, and that's why they're so fucking miserable. And I don't know, I really kind of love that about this movie.
Yeah, I mean, that did kind of surprise me how many people were in this movie that I know, notable people like we already said, Tom Waits, Nick Offerman, John Hawkes, who's the guy from he's like the brother in Eastbound and Down.
Yep.
You ever watch that?
Oh yeah, I love that show, man. Honestly, my favorite.
Mark Boone Jr. too, the guy from Sons of Anarchy.
The guy that I kind of haven't really. Where he plays the gay mechanic. He committed suicide with his gay lover. Yeah. Yep. The one that I haven't really seen in anything else is the guy that plays the Russian character. Yeah. That is like Zaya's best friend.
Yeah, I don't know that guy.
I kind of really haven't seen him in other movies, but I honestly I feel like the main cast, like McCaw.
He started looking like Will Forte to me for a minute.
Well, it's like McCaw, Zaya, and fuck, I can't think of his name.
Oh shit, I don't know his name.
I'm gonna look it up real quick. Sorry, we need
give him a second.
Give me a quick gook second.
Yeah. Did you say gook?
Did you say gook?
That's I'm offended. As an Asian American, I'm offended. Eugene.
Yeah, so
Eugene Levy.
Eugene I don't know, I really like his character. It's just what
I had to put on subtitles to kind of get everything he was saying.
Yeah.
Because he's like I just think accents for me, I think I miss certain things.
Sure.
So I put on subtitles.
But what I was going to say was the thing I found most surprising about this music, about the movie, was I kind of really dug like the folk music in it. That was like supposed to be the music that Eugene's character, or Eugene, I should say, like it was like his music from his life,
previous life.
And I was like, I kind of dug it. Like I was kind of into it.
I've read some reviews that people really liked that music too, and it was like. They were playing that game. What was it? Where towards the beginning, those chicks
where they're guessing how people committed suicide.
Yeah, and he fucking he electrified himself with the guitar and shit while he was on stage.
Yep, he poured beer inside of it while he fuck it all.
Yeah,
and that's. I mean, I think this movie is genuinely funny, man.
I like how it flashes back to how they died. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's kind of fun. And his whole family was there too. He's like, I didn't know. He's like, I never met a whole family here.
Yeah. Oh, well, I like when his younger brother is explaining how Eugene's younger brother is explaining how he would have committed suicide when he was a little kid. Had it not been for Eugene.
Yeah, with like a jump rope and
shit. Yeah, he's like...
That shit killed me, dude. That little kid. Just because his soccer team didn't win, he had the jump rope with a noose.
Explain to me how it's fair that the better team didn't win. He's like, come here. He's like, no, tell me and I'll come down. He's like, come down and I'll tell you. And I love that he just steps down and just smacks him really out of him. And then he just turns around and goes back in his room. To this day, I don't understand what he meant by it.
But it worked, at least for a while. Yeah, that's fun. I like that. That's comical. It is a weird type of comedy in this movie. I mean, it's a dark, but dry.
It's dry. It's dark. But then it has those moments where it's oddly uplifting, and I think that's what I like about it so much. Is it has that kind of philosophy, even in the grimmest of situations, even in the darkest moments, there's still light, there's still hope, and I don't know. I think that's what's people that like the movie. I think that's what's so endearing about it.
I know this movie does have sort of a cult following, which is interesting, and I wrote it down in my notes somewhere, but how did you come across this movie? Because I've never fucking heard of it.
Honestly, man, I literally saw it when it first came out. I was still in college. I saw it at a fucking Redbox, and I was really bored, and I was just looking for back, when Redbox used to be a thing.
Yeah, but it still is.
But I was really bored, and I was just looking for a movie to rent, and so I took a chance.
Nice.
And rented this movie on
That's cool. I like that, dude. You just, take a chance.
And what's so funny is I didn't realize it, but I was working at Penn Station, and my coworker had watched it, and he actually really liked it, and that's what made this movie so memorable and why I remembered it.
2006. Was Redbox around back then?
I rented it in about 2008, so it had been. It was when Redbox was starting to come up.
It's crazy how
this movie
time.
Yeah, this movie dropped. And I had a long conversation with my coworker about it. We both really liked the movie, and So it was one of those weird little things where I saw it on Redbox, and I mean I've always been into dark comedies. I love that shit.
Yeah, me too.
So when I read the Redbox description on it, I was like, "Fuck it, I gotta rent this movie," and I loved it, man. And I've been watching it ever since.
Nice. How many times do you think you watched it?
I mean, I haven't watched it a ton, but I've probably watched it 6 or 7 times.
All right.
So, I mean, I've definitely watched it more than a couple times.
Here's one of my notes. I don't think I've ever seen a little person's tits before. Because there's a quick little montage scene or something where there's a little person with her tits out. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But I thought to myself, I was like,
They go to the strip club and they're drinking.
That's new. I don't think I've ever seen. I wasn't gonna say the word. I swear. Little person tits.
But I also think though that's kind of
It's just a stupid note I
it's
jotted down.
It's definitely the mindset of youth to where this person I love isn't in my life anymore. I'm never going to get over this. And I think that's something that's kind of charming and relatable about the movies. I was I remember being young, and the first person I was in love with totally broke my fucking heart, crushed me. And I felt that way for a long time. I was I'm never going to get over this. And
yeah.
I think it's I don't know.
It's crushing.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Well, and it's it's one of the, I don't know. I just think the movie, there's a lot of stuff. Not killing yourself. That's not relatable. But there's a lot of stuff.
Well, it is to me. No, I'm kidding.
but really, though, I pretty much think about it every day. But I think there's a lot of stuff in the movie that's relatable, and
yeah, I mean, it is
that, and you know what? It gives you the happy Hollywood ending,
yeah, and I did like that ending.
Where they could, they actually can.
If you want to jump to that, yeah.
Well, and I think too, it's it's a fun little question of where was all this shit in Zaya's head, and he was in and out of consciousness, and he saw McCall by his bedside, and she's just kind of another survivor with him.
Yeah.
Or did they actually go to purgatory and experience all this shit together?
Yeah.
And they can both live happy now that they're both alive. And I don't know, it's a fun little question.
Yeah, that's nice. Gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling. But you also got the black hole under the seat and shit, which is fun.
There's a lot of little weird
shit.
little quirks in this movie. And
that was part of the ending too, the black hole where he
falls in it and then he wakes up in the real world.
I think he went in on purpose. He went in there, or do you think he fell in?
I don't know, man.
It kind of seemed like he did it on purpose to me.
That, and I think it's possible. I think it definitely is possible. He'd finally just given up and he just jumped in there just to see what would happen. And
I mean, that's because he at the beginning he talks about he thought about killing himself again, but then it might just be a little bit more worse version of what he's living now.
Well, and I think it's interesting.
So I think the black hole might be the way to go.
Well, and I honestly, I think he never, Tom Waits' character never specifies this, but he definitely alludes to it. And I think what he's alluding to when he says, it's how painful this is. Nobody would try that again.
Yeah.
And I think what he's alluding to is he's it's going to hurt a lot, but you're already dead, so it's not going to do anything. And so like I don't
You just like respawn.
yeah, I don't think you can kill yourself in this like purgatory again. I think like you're just stuck there. So, and I think that's kind of the crux of it is in a like, you know, you killed yourself to solve your problems, but now you're even in a shittier place. And so like you're just stuck there now. And you still have all the bullshit problems in your brain that you had before, but you're dead, so it's worse. So you can't even end your life because you're already dead. Like
Right.
it's like there's a lot of there's a lot of levels to the movie. No, you're good, man. Go ahead.
I was gonna say just like the cinematography and shit, just like all the places they go. It reminds me of California. I think it must have been shot there.
I'm pretty sure it was, yeah.
But like mountain, kind of deserty type of mountains, and just like old dilapidated buildings, and just all of everything's all run down, and there's just like old sofas on the side of the road, and it just seems like a kind of a desolate
Yeah, I think it was shot in like
vibe
in like California, Nevada, and Utah. Like I think they like just kind of went through the desert through those 3 states.
because it is a kind of a road trip movie.
Yeah, it totally is.
Road trip love story.
You know, it's like
Dark comedy, romance.
It's if, you know, you did Road Trip, but then made it good. Like
You don't like Road Trip?
I do. It's funny, but I mean, it hasn't aged well. I'll
You don't
say.
think so? Oh,
No.
man. I feel like I watched it maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I still enjoyed it.
I mean, I don't get me wrong. I think it's funny. I just don't think it's aged well. And
What? Just
and,
because like standards today, like PC and all that shit,
not
or
even
what?
that, man. I just think there's a lot of shit in it that is a little over the top, and like it's like there's a lot of stuff I think it's like overacted in it, and I don't know. I just don't buy it, man. No, I'm an adult.
Sure.
I
respect that.
And also just the shit with Tom Green, dude. He's just so weird. Like when he puts the fucking the mouse in his mouth, and he's like sitting there talking to the thing. He's like, "What's wrong, Mitch? You're not hungry?" And it's like it's funny, but it's just like I was like, Tom Green is just such a fucking weird dude, man.
I like Tom Green still.
I don't dislike him. I just think he's fucking weird. Man.
How about Freddy Got Fingered?
I mean, it makes me laugh, but it's still a fucked up movie.
So ridiculous. Harlan Williams in there when he breaks his leg and shit. And you got Rip Torn in there as his dad.
Yep.
Good times. Anyways.
The fucking scene where like the horses are fucking and he's just like shoving a sandwich in his face. I'm just like there is like, I'm not mad at you, Tom Green, but there is something deeply wrong with you.
We can't have a cheese sandwich without any cheese, can we? He just piles more cheese on. Daddy, would you like some sausage? I'm the backwards man.
That part is so stupid, but I hate to admit it, but it makes me laugh every time. Backwards man. I'm the backwards man.
I can walk back as fast as you can. But let's get back on track. Yeah, I don't have that many more notes, but I wrote down it's a pretty weird indie movie that has like sort of a cult following for a good reason, I would say.
Yeah, it's definitely got heart, man. This movie's got a lot of heart, I think.
Sure, yeah. And I will say it does. Getting on to the rewatchability thing, I would say this deserves another watch for me to like really take it all in and shit and anything. But other than that, I picked out a couple of reviews.
Sure.
Real quick.
We got to review bomb it, yeah.
Yeah, one good and one bad, I think. Adam Fendelman says, the vision of life after death varies between the religious and non-religious, the optimist and the pessimist, and the believers and non-believers. There are few afterlife stories, though, as unique and humorous as this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's pretty I think that's pretty on the money, honestly.
It's a good review. And then the other ones is from Kathy Mayo. Mayonnaise. It says realistic otherworldness is a challenge, especially in a live action film. Wristcutters, a love story, couldn't quite pull it off. That's what she says.
It's weak.
I mean, a small part of me kind of agrees with that, but not really. I mean,
honestly, I think like the concept and the way it's executed is actually like pretty fucking well done. I respect, like, I mean, there are definitely people that like the humor, like the dry humor, and like as dark as some of the humor in this movie is, I totally respect that some people like don't find it funny.
Yeah, and I'm sure those people out there who like have dealt with a suicide,
well, yeah, sure,
of a loved one or something, that don't find this particularly entertaining.
Yeah, and I can totally respect that. Like, I get it.
But yeah. Other than that, no, I actually like this movie. Where would you rate it?
Honestly, man, I give it a, like, even as much as I like it, I would say I give it a solid 7, man.
All right.
I give it a solid 7.
That's about where I'm at, too. I wrote down 6.5. But like I said, again, it deserves a rewatch, and that rating might change, upon a second watch.
Yeah, I think it's...
But I don't know when I'd watch it. It'd probably be a minute before I revisit it.
Yeah, I think it's something you have to. And then when you take it in again, you're like, oh, okay, because you're gonna find like little things you miss.
Yeah,
just like,
there's a lot of movies that deserve more than one watch. If you don't like it the first time, it's...
Or there's even like things like you're on the fence about it. I think those are the best movies,
right?
Because there are a ton of movies I've watched multiple times. The first time I was like, that was kind of a fucking weird movie. I don't know how I feel about it. And then by the second or third watch, I'm like, I fucking love this movie.
A movie that pops into mind is The Master. I saw it once and I was like, what the fuck is this movie? You know what I mean?
Yup.
Watched it again and I'm like, all right, I'm down with this movie.
Honestly, that's kind of how I was with Fight Club the first time I watched it. I was like, what the fuck is this movie?
I don't know if Fight Club holds up for me. When's the last time you watched it?
Pretty recently, honestly. I've read the book though, and I think...
Was that Fincher? David Fincher?
I think the director, the author is Chuck Palahniuk. I think the movie actually does the subject matter of the book better. Now, the book, there are a lot more details and there's a lot more weirdness that I enjoy in the book. But as far as like the story progression, I really enjoy the movie more. Plus, there's just so much shit in that movie. If you don't watch it like 2 or 3 times, you're just gonna miss stuff.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Now, I've watched that movie so many times, I can pick up almost every time that Brad Pitt's character flashes in the background. Like it's fucking, it's wild. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap this one up. I'm gonna take a short break, take a whiz, and I got a lot on
Yeah, I know. Well, we talked about...
This is gonna be a long episode, bro. We're already at damn near 45 minutes.
And we're gonna talk about Wizard of Oz for like an hour, because there's a lot to say about it, man.
I know. All right, so back in a second, folks.
What did you think of on the Wizard?
And we are back. We're talking about the Wizard of Oz now. Oh my lord.
There's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to say. Before we get into it, let me I've got a couple of things.
Sure.
It's a weird coincidence, or maybe this was like in the back of my mind or something, but my daughter just did a Wizard of Oz play. Ooh. Yeah, dude. So I went to see that, which was a lot of fun. Oh my god.
Shout out Kevin's daughter.
Yeah, Angie. She was Toto.
Oh, no shit. That's cool.
She didn't have any speaking roles or anything.
Did she just go woof woof?
She crushed it. No. Not really. But she just kind of followed around Dorothy and, did a couple things. But I thought, dude, when you, I don't know if you've ever felt this. I mean, I know you don't have kids or nothing, but when I see my children up there performing and shit, I'm a crying mess, bro. I was fighting back tears the whole time. Like, I'm so proud and just, I love it, dude.
I don't.
They're in the arts,
I don't have kids, but I mean, I do have my little sister who is, she's 15 years younger than I am.
Yeah.
So I kind of raised her, and it's very much like having a kid. So like,
you ever see her do a performance or something?
Yeah, man. She used to be in a color guard and shit like that.
My daughter's in guard.
Yeah, and so
I got a sweatshirt that says the Guard Father.
Hell yeah, man. But yeah, no, it's like very. I kind of feel where you're coming from. It's like that kind of like you feel very proud of them.
Yeah, and it's fucking. I'm so emotional watching this shit. I loved it. I gotta say, she was awesome. But I'm the Scarecrow, bro. The kid who played the Scarecrow, he nailed it, bro. He was so good. He sounded like the guy from the movie, and the physicality, the physical comedy and shit. He was nailing it, bro. He was so good. I even gave him a fist bump after the show. I was you stole the show, bro. And also the Wicked Witch of the West, which was played by a boy. He nailed it too. He had the voice. He was over the top, just crazy, and I loved it. What else I gotta say about this? Dorothy and the Lion were pretty good. Dorothy looked damn near like Judy Garland.
No shit, okay.
Yeah, and it's just a coincidence that I picked this movie, and she was doing her play. It must have been in the back of my head or something. I don't know, because I didn't remember that I had to go see her play when I picked that movie. But yeah, just a good time. So, yeah, let's get into the movie. Boy, I love this movie. I know you were kind of hinting that it wasn't the greatest rewatch of your life.
I
love it, though. I am on board.
Hey, man, that's great. I appreciate it for its cultural significance to cinema, and like that it was literally the very first movie to ever be done in color, and so it springboarded movies forward by like generations. It's like so ahead of its time.
I know that must have blew people's minds back then.
And that's kind of like and I that's kind of something I was thinking about, even though I'll be honest, I didn't personally enjoy watching it that much, but I was thinking, I was like, this shit must have fucking blew people's minds.
Exactly.
Like in 1939, like this must have been
it starts out like a black and white, not black. It's a weird color, but
no,
yeah,
it's black and white. I mean, it's essentially it's gray. Like,
but then after the house lands in Oz, she opens the door and it's all,
everything is in color.
Color. That must have blew people's minds back then. That's like CGI now. Like
honestly,
when CGI first came out,
I think it would have been like and we talked about this movie earlier, but it is a culturally significant movie. The first Matrix. Like, I think that's how people
exactly.
Because the Matrix did. I mean, it doesn't have the cultural significance that Wizard of Oz does, but it changed the landscape for modern movies because it brought like Eastern kung fu into modern Western movies. But it also brought like bullet time. It was a movie so ahead of its time. It did so many. It combined so many genres and philosophies together. So I would say like the first time like you went and saw the fucking Matrix in the theaters, like that was like, I would say that was like my Wizard of Oz movie, because I remember seeing that movie in the theaters and it just fucking blowing away. Because to this day I can't really think of a movie that I was like, holy fuck, what the fuck, that was
like changed
crazy.
The game,
like
bro.
changed the game. And Wizard of Oz is that movie.
Yeah.
It changed the game,
but just for a earlier generation.
But that being said, though, man, I definitely feel this movie is very much so a product of its time. Like, movies in the day, they have much to in the way of special effects. Like, so
There's
everything,
a lot of
everything,
fun facts about those special effects.
Well, everything is reliant on the actors selling it. And there's a very large musical component to it. Because I really started to think about
Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Yeah, it's one of the most famous songs of all time. Like especially as far as like, musicals go.
Especially when that fucking Hawaiian dude did it, Israel fucking whatever his name is. I love that song.
But I was gonna say, I kind of thought back to movies that my grandparents loved because I grew up with my grandparents, even like to my mom to a lesser extent. But I remember like movies like Singing in the Rain, stuff like that. Musicals it was a huge component of movies back in the day. Like you couldn't just be a good actor; you had to be good at singing too.
You had to dance.
You had to be like an all around performer.
I know.
And so I think that also garners like a level of respect, like because like sometimes like especially today, like a lot of like
it's like that.
Not to shit on people, but there are definitely actresses where, okay, you only have a job because you're pretty. And that shit would have never fucking flown back when movies like The Wizard of Oz, like, no, you had to be able to fucking sing.
You gotta have the all-around fucking...
You had to have the whole package. And
the whole package.
And I think that's kind of what's ironic about Judy Garland is... how much shit like the studio would give her, like, you're too fat, you gotta diet, you gotta exercise.
They made her smoke like so many cigarettes.
Well, that
and they gave her diet pills so she wouldn't eat.
Well, I kind of did some research on that.
Me too.
They didn't really make her smoke, like, because she was actually for a long portion of her life she was very anti-smoking, but they did give her diet pills and they did make her do like extracurricular, like they made her play tennis with her stunt double. They made her go on, like they made her like exercise, kind of like what, quite frankly, what studios do to women today and do to actors today to get them in shape for their movies. They make them fucking have insane regimens to keep them in shape so they can promote this unrealistic standard of what the human body is supposed to be portrayed.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to think that they were doing that shit to Judy Garland back in the fucking 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's ironic because, like, Judy Garland's a beautiful woman, so it's kind of weird for them to... It's almost like... I feel like it's almost a control thing. To where they were telling her, like, you're an ugly duckling.
It's kind of
like,
evil.
Fat. Yeah, well,
That's pretty evil.
But, I mean, it's Hollywood, dude. It's fucked up. Like,
it's Hollywood.
It's not a place normal people want to be, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, personally, I would never want that level of fame. That's crazy to me.
What?
Like, I don't like the fact that there are as many people that know who I am as there are. Like, sometimes I don't like being able to go to, like, a bunch of different places in the city and people know who I am. I was like, why the fuck do you know who I am?
Yeah,
I don't know like
you,
that
but
already.
You know me.
I would fucking hate that on a global scale, dude. I would hate going to, like, fucking Singapore and then just some asshole coming up to you like, oh, I'm a huge fan, blah, blah, blah. That would be miserable, man.
Oh, yeah.
I could only imagine.
It must be rough, but we don't live that life.
And I'm fucking glad for it, my game.
Let me get through some of this stuff. The Wizard of Oz, 1939, fantasy musical, director Victor Fleming, 98 tomato meter. A hell of a score.
Yep.
89 audience. So yeah, it's up there. I got a few taglines. Mighty Miracle Show of 1,000 Delights. That's so old timey. I feel like.
Yeah. Well,
it sounds like someone in a wagon on the side of the like a sideshow type of thing.
This movie is very much a product of its time. Like, and you can test. You were talking about you weren't a fan of the acting in Wristcutters, right?
Yeah, some of it.
Well, and that's kind of how I feel about my last watch of Wizard of Oz. I feel like
who did you not like?
It's honestly, I just think that the Wicked Witch.
Are you kidding me? She's great.
I'm just gonna be honest. Like, it is.
acting today and acting back then is a different thing.
Yep, and that's kind of what and I think it's a time period thing because they really had to sell their performances because the movie was really relying on that. But now by like modern standards, like if I'm gonna go back by then yeah, the acting's great, but by modern standards
okay, yeah, if you're judging it by modern standards, it's
like well, it's just like viewing it with a fresh pair of eyes. It's just so like the acting is so over the top.
How long have you said since you've seen it? Like forever, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time. Like it's probably been since honestly probably since I was a kid. Yeah. And
obviously acting has changed a lot.
Well,
like they used to speak back in the day, they would speak big, like, "Oh, you see, Grandma."
And they had to because they didn't have the same kind of mic setup either. Like
exactly.
They didn't have so they had to be much their voices had to be boisterous. Yeah,
we're thinking the same thing.
But at the same time, I guess viewing it with a fresh pair of eyes, it was something that there are scenes in the movie that were jarring for me because they're it's just like, well, what do you mean? You know, like it's like they're really they're not only
they act with their whole body.
Yeah, they're acting with their whole body, and
they're like
it's,
very
but then at the same time, I'm like, it's kind of torn because like this is a children's movie, so it's kind of supposed to be silly. But at the same
there's a lot of dark stuff in there too.
Well, there is, and it's because of this subject. It's very satirical. Like that's actually one of the things I really wanted to get into to delve into this because even though I didn't personally enjoy watching the movie this time around. I'm just being very honest. Like it just
no. I love it. Be honest as you want.
I found it to be kind of boring, man. Like
really?
just because of what I'm used to by today's standards, like going back and watching this movie, I very much so found it to be a product of its time. At the same time, I respect like the whimsy of it, to where it's like I understand like kind of what the idea of what this project is trying to sell, to where it's this magical realm. It's this, you know, like Dorothy is the everyday man, so she's this everyday person who gets thrown into this magical and
which kind of reminds me. I wrote this down somewhere in my notes. It kind of reminds me of Alice in Wonderland. It's this kind of a same sort of thing going on.
Well, the writer of the Wizard of Oz books draws a lot of inspiration from Alice in Wonderland.
Did that come first?
Alice in Wonderland.
Are you kidding me? Yep. I thought this came first.
No. So
I didn't.
The author started writing. Was
it a book or something before? Because it wasn't the cartoon, right?
Alice in Wonderland was a book first. It was a fable.
When did the Disney come out?
Let's double check it.
Let's give it a Google. While you're googling that, I'll throw out some of the other taglines I got. One of them is gaiety, glory, glamour. That's it. The next one is biggest screen sensation since Snow White, which is something.
So the Alice in Wonderland book was written in 1865.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I didn't realize that story was that old. Ooh, boy, howdy. But yeah, maybe I should look it up.
1900 is when The Wizard of Oz the original book was written.
Okay.
And
that's I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that
you learned something new.
Well, that was something I wanted to delve into, is because the ideology in Wizard of Oz is also something that's very much a product of its time. Because its author was what's known as a popularist, which is somebody who wanted to put the power and money back into the people's hands, right?
Okay.
Because when The Wizard of Oz was written, was right at the height of the Industrial Revolution, when American labor started to become very mechanized, and so
this is now a history podcast, people.
Sorry.
No, I'm kidding. No, I love it.
This is stuff that I actually looked up, and I was reading a lot about it.
Give me the facts.
So, he was very much so about putting the power back in people's hands. And so a lot of The Wizard of Oz is satire and allegories towards the world at the time. And like I was saying, that was kind of what I was alluding to earlier, is Dorothy is very much so like a representation of the everyday man, to where, like, she's like your average neighbor, is, down to earth, hardworking, just just wants the best, happy-go-lucky, like, she would give you the shirt off her back.
Farmer's daughter.
Yeah.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
Well, and that's, and I mean, each character is, a representation. Like, the Scarecrow is a representation of the impoverished farmer who he doesn't know shit about government.
He doesn't have a brain.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have a brain. Well, he doesn't know how to navigate that climate to, put himself in a position to where he has power.
I relate to that.
He's just a farmer. The Tin Man is
doesn't have a heart.
Doesn't have a heart. He's a representation of the breakdown of the industrial worker, how they're monopolized. That's why they're made of tin. They're basically they're working, like at that time they're working like 16-hour days and being paid barely shit for it.
Yeah.
The Cowardly Lion is actually
courage.
This one I actually have to look up because it's a specific.
That's fucking nuts, though. The way that you're explaining that, holy fuck! I didn't know nothing about that, dude. That's nuckin' futs. Give it a goog, give it a goog. We need a give it a goog song. We just play the song while someone's googling. Give it a goog. That's a Mark Norman thing, though. He came up with that phrase. Give it a goog.
Give it a goog. Yeah. So.
What do you got for us?
Give me just a second. I'm finding it.
I'm trying to feel the dead air.
I had this in my brain, but I couldn't remember the. So it was a prominent. The Cowardly Lion represents a prominent political figure. Is actually a very specific person. You guys can look this up. Like, you're more than welcome to. His name was William Jennings Bryan. So he was a member of the Democratic Party, and he was someone who was trying to fight really hard for the populist movement, which, like I kind of explained earlier, was to put more power and money back into people's hands. Mm-hmm. But he was kind of failing to do so. Like, he didn't really have the strength of character to make his ideals happen, and that's kind of where the Cowardly Lion kind of comes into, where his bark is meaner than his bite, and that is kind of why that real life person became the Cowardly Lion became a representation for that, is because he doesn't really do anything of meaning, but he seems very intimidating at first because in this political fun fact about William is that he was a presidential candidate. He was almost the president twice.
Wow.
But he lost twice, and one of the people he lost to was William Taft. Yep. And so, like, it's like the same. There's so many allegories, like the Yellow Brick Road, that is like the path forward to like each brick theoretically is a piece to achieving your goals. So it's like brick by brick, you're like that, and that's kind of why they march down the Yellow Brick Road. It's like all those pieces together. All those pieces together kind of lead you to Rome, essentially. To Oz. To Oz. Yeah. And what's Oz is kind of an insult to the president. It's but it's a very direct parallel to where the Emerald City is basically Washington, and the Wizard of Oz is the president. Because the president, theoretically, he's the most powerful man in the nation, but he really doesn't do anything. Like, he doesn't really have any real.
He's kind of just a face.
He's really just a figurehead. Yeah,
figurehead.
And he just doesn't really do anything to change the turmoil of his surroundings. He kind of just lets things be as they may.
Sure.
Examples. The witches are supposed to represent different.
The different witches of the.
Yeah, like the witch of the west and witch of the east. I don't remember exactly.
The one of the east was squashed by the house.
Right, but their representation is of, like, one of them was representing the, like, oil tycoons and, like, the power of, like, all these Western pioneers gaining all of this wealth, and they're, like, kind of controlling the they're, like, everything is in the Wizard of Oz is symbolism for something.
I did not expect this conversation to go this way. No, but it's all good and everything. I'm just like,
well,
wow,
this is
like a whole new world that you're opening up.
This is what I wanted to bring to. Even though I didn't enjoy watching the movie, I did a lot of research to be like, okay, even though I don't like it, I understand its cultural significance, and I also knew there was.
I would have never read this deep into it. I don't know. I love it, though.
Well, I also, even before I did research before the podcast, I knew of the book because I had actually, I like the second movie more, the one made in the 80s. It's called Return to Oz. So it's based on more of this guy's writing, but it's much, much darker, and it's kind of what the original story was more intended to. Like, that's why I originally, before we looked everything up before the podcast, it's why I thought this was actually...
You really did your research.
It's why I thought originally this movie was a Disney movie, because they did what Disney does, and they kind of like Disneyfied the story to where they made it more kid accessible. They made it, they made it more accessible to the general public. Exactly. And Return to Oz is more like true to what the author was, like his ideas were, his like his thoughts about the political landscape at the time were. But yeah, the wicked witches of the West, they basically represent like monopolies in American culture. Like, one is like industrialization, the other one is like oil money, which were like the two major powers at the time that were taking away from the American hands.
It's interesting, like sort of off topic, but we know nothing about the witch of the South. I mean, you got the good witch of the North, you got the wicked witch of the East and West. What's with this South witch? Where's she at? Well, I'm guessing it's a she.
This I know this is there's a play called Wicked that kind of does what I'm about to say. But I'm not going to... I mean, I still think the Wicked Witch of the West is kind of a piece of shit. But at the same time, I get where she's coming from, because if some bitch dropped a fucking house on my sister, I'd be like, we're going to fight to the death now. Like,
she didn't do it on purpose, bro. She got caught up in a tornado.
Doesn't
matter.
It's like if something that you, if even by consequences something you did killed my sister, I would be fucking mad at you.
You're done.
And then on top of that, I'm not even mad at Dorothy, really.
You shouldn't be.
I'm more mad at Glinda the Good Witch, because she talks that shit, dude. That's that you have no power here. Like, she's like, oh, all you need to do is follow the yellow brick road. I was like, oh, you're the evil one, Glinda the Good Witch. You're sending Dorothy on this quest.
I've heard something about that.
Well, this is kind of like the plot of Wicked, which is like the story told from the Wicked Witch of the West's perspective. No, but like where I'm coming from is like, I still think she's a bad person, but I think the real bad person is Glinda the Good Witch, because like no matter how this plays out, she's coming up winning. Like, she's like, if the Witch of the West kills Dorothy and takes the slippers, all I got to do is steal them from her. Like, and then I have that power. But if Dorothy kills the Wicked Witch of the West and she dies doing it, then I get the slippers anyway. It's like, fuck you, Glinda. You're a piece of shit. Like, you set this up from the beginning. Like, you ain't fooling nobody.
She was like mastermind.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
like,
that's
interesting. Think about
I like
it.
that.
She's like, at the very beginning, she's like, "You have no power here." I was like, "Oh, you're talking that shit. I see what you're doing."
But also, she gave her the slippers at the beginning, and all she needed to do was tap her heels home. You know what I mean? But she made her go on this whole quest, follow Yellow Brick Road to Oz, and fucking talk to Oz. And
because Glinda the Good Witch wanted the power. Like, she was hoping that that cute little Dorothy would talk that old creepy ass man into doing the dirty work and be like, "Oh, well, now I'm the ruler of Oz." Like, the evil witch of the West is gone, and now Glinda the Good Witch rules it all.
oh boy, this is a lot to get in. You mind if I take another break real quick?
Nah, man, you're good.
I'm gonna grab a couple more beers and
I can talk this shit all night, man. Like, I
still have a lot to get. I haven't even. I mean, you've been giving me your shit. I haven't even gotten to my notes really. But yeah, we will here in a second. And we're back again for the second time. Still talking about Wizard of Oz.
What did you think of on the Wizard?
I already forgot.
It's all right. Very nice.
Probably about all this shit you were saying.
Fucking melts in your brain.
Let me go back to a couple of these because I didn't get through all the taglines. But the one of them was the biggest sensation since Snow White, which was 2 years prior to this, which was like Disney's first animated feature film, I believe.
Yep. That was the first animated movie in color, I believe.
Hi ho, it's off to work we go. Anyways, yeah, a couple more. The Mighty Miracle Show, that is the talk of America. That's a tagline for this movie, Wizard of Oz. And I'll bet it was, at the time. I'm sure.
This movie fucking blew people's minds, dude.
And then one of them just says, the greatest picture in the history of entertainment. At the time, probably.
At the time, yeah, for sure. It's hard to argue that. The first full Technicolor movie, like, at the time, like, state-of-the-art makeup and special effects, like, production, like, yeah.
It's kind of weird how we can, back then, you could record something, but it had to be in black and white. Like, what the fuck? How does that work? Like, the first technology was black and white before color. I don't understand how that works.
It's less process.
Well, sure. I mean, but like, if you're gonna build a camera for the first time, I don't understand how it would be black and white instead of color. I don't know. I'm stupid.
No, it's cool, man.
I'm stupid. I don't know the whole process of making photos in 1839 or whatever. I don't know. Just making shit up. Anyways, let me get into some of my notes. I know you said a lot about what you were talking. Do you have deep. More or no?
No, please do, man. I mean, I could talk about this shit forever, but I just wanted to melt your mind a little bit.
I know that was wild, bro. Like, I didn't know any of that. I never put that shit together. My first note is just the opening credits. It's saying all the people, and then it just says, and the Munchkins. Like, it doesn't name them.
They're not important enough to be named.
Which is another fact about the movie. Like, the Munchkins got paid $50 a week. You know who got paid more? Toto, $125 a week. It's kind of disrespectful
because midgets are worth less than dogs. Yes, I choose to be offensive.
Apparently, they really wanted Toto for some reason. Yeah.
I think that dog had been in like other movies, man. Like that
happens with a lot of Hollywood animals.
Yeah, and he was like well trained, so yeah.
Even Cocaine Bear. No, I'm kidding.
But really,
he might be CGI. I don't know. Yeah, in the beginning of the film, like, they're all, because it's the same actors who portray in the Wizard of Oz.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're all kind of hinting at what their traits are, like the courage in the beginning, the brains. I don't know. I don't know the actual quotes, but they're hinting about, their traits in Oz, about how he doesn't have a brain or, heart or courage or whatever. You got the Somewhere Over the Rainbow song. Lovely. And I don't know, man, but to me, this movie is just, it's kind of pure joy. Like, I feel joy watching this. I know you don't, but...
That's awesome. I think that's great that
I fucking love it. After all these years and all, it's so before my time, but still, like, I think, I've watched it a few times as a kid, and they say that's, it imprints on you.
See, when I watched it, the reason I respect it so much is, my grandfather loved old movies. Like, he used to watch, like, Singing in the Rain. He used to watch the old, like, I'm talking, like, the fucking 1930s King Kong movie, where it's, like, a fucking action figure on a string, like, playing, you know what I mean? Like, it's, like, bad black and white claymation.
Yeah.
And my grandfather loved The Wizard of Oz too. Like, that
It's
shit blew. That
great.
he was a little kid when that movie came out. So.
I wrote in my notes right here. It says it's insane how well this movie holds up in my eyes, because it is that old, and I don't know. It brings me joy. I love it. It's crazy how well it holds up. Oh, I already said that. It feels like similar to Alice in Wonderland.
And you were
that.
very correct. Yeah, I was like, yeah, it definitely the author that wrote Wizard of Oz definitely borrowed a lot of shit from Alice in Wonderland.
That's another thing I learned. Like, I didn't realize Alice in Wonderland came first.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of those fables, man, that Walt Disney ended up making into cartoons. A lot of them were books that were written in the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last one, Beauty and the Beast, I want to say that was like 1891 something. It was like somewhere around
the
that
animated
time.
Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you mean the story? The story?
Well, I'm talking about the story, yeah.
Right.
Because the movie came out in the early 90s.
Obviously, yeah.
But the story, I believe, was written right before the turn of the century.
I feel like Disney just went around collecting all these stories, like buying up these stories. You know what I mean? He was like,
that is
Walt Disney just running around. Can I have this story? I'll buy it from you. But yeah, I did write down. It's interesting to think about how they pulled off some of these scenes back then in 1939. When, like, the Wicked Witch of the West shows up, and when she leaves, there's like a cloud of red smoke and a fireball and shit, and she's just gone and shit. Which actually, there is like a fact where she really got burned, apparently.
Oh yeah.
From that, there was a lot of fucking production nightmares on this movie.
The floating fireball, though, man, that scene, I was just like, oh man, that is such a product of its time. Like,
what do you mean?
Just stuff like that. Where there's a scene where they're in the forest.
Yeah.
Where the Wicked Witch of the West shows up. Where it's like right after they pluck the apples off the trees.
Yeah, and they start throwing them.
Yeah, the monkeys start throwing them at him, and she shows up, and she's like, I'll have those red slippers, and then she throws a little fireball at him, and it kind of sits there and floats as like a little red light.
Yeah.
And that like, it's just like little stuff like that.
So dated.
It's very, like I said, it's there's stuff in this movie. It's just very...
You gotta suspend some disbelief, you know what I mean? And in order to watch old movies...
Well, that was kind of my...
And I try to do that. It is hard, though. I do agree that it's hard to go back and watch older, like those really old movies, like some Hitchcocks. I've watched Rear Window, and it's just...
Psycho holds up, though, dude.
A lot of cheesy shit, but in the time, it was like...
Well, that's kind of my point. In the time, it was state of the art, but now like
you got to try to put yourself in that time, I guess.
Sure, but it becomes hard after everything you've seen.
I understand that.
That was just like, I guess that was my only point. Is like there's just some stuff where it's hard to suspend that disbelief just because there are things about the movie that I think are very much a product of its time.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, without a doubt. But I love the quote in there. She meets the scarecrow first. And one of the things he says, he's like, some people without brains do an awful lot of talking, which rings true.
Oh, yeah. Now, I think that's a line straight from...
That's a great line.
I think it's a line straight from the book, too, man.
Oh, I'm sure. I think, dude, when I was a kid, I don't know, I think I liked the Tin Man the most. But now the Scarecrow, man. Scarecrow is where it's at. He's such a good character. I love him. Ray Bolger.
Well, he's he's kind of a product of the poor farmer, everyday man. You know what I mean? Like he's a very relatable.
Exactly.
It's like somebody who there's a lot of people like that who I think they're dumb and are a little down on their luck, and really they have more to them and they're smarter than what they give themselves credit for.
They say that people who think, they think themselves as like a dumb person. If you think you're a dumb person, apparently you're smarter than the person who thinks they're smart. You know what I mean? Because the people who think they're smart usually tend to be dumb as fuck.
Or
I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, no, they people that believe themselves to be super smart a lot of the times.
That's kind of the curse of being smart, is that I don't know, you're too smart for your own good, apparently. Sometimes.
Well, my point is
sorry, I threw you off.
Some of the smart... No, you're fine, man. Some of the smartest people I ever met are people that constantly question themselves, where
sure,
some of the biggest fools I met are people...
who are super confident.
Yeah, and they really shouldn't be.
Exactly, for no good reason.
Yep.
Another quote that I thought was funny. When you meet the lion, somewhere in the song, he calls himself a dandelion. I thought that was pretty funny because people don't use that anymore. But they used to call people dandies and shit, kind of like a sissy or
yeah. So it's actually in the turn of in current times, it actually got kind of replaced. It was kind of like a subculture, and they were called like when like pop synth and like goth pop got popular.
Yeah, there
were a bunch of like dudes that were kind of dressing in like Victorian style like wear, like in like the early 2000s to mid 2000s.
Yeah, and
people started calling them goth dandies. So it's like an old term that got kind of like repurposed into like a newer age. It's pretty funny. There's actually a movie called SLC Punk 2. And one of the characters...
I've seen the first one.
The first one is a classic, man.
Of course.
And the second one is funny. It's just... it'll never live up to the
It doesn't
original.
have any of the same people, does it?
So the main character
Matthew Lillard?
No, the main character is Bob's son. So the guy that OD'd, the main character is his son. And so Bob... Heroin Bob is actually... even though he's dead, he plays the narrator of the movie. It's pretty funny.
Wait, did he knock someone up in that movie? I forget.
Yeah, Trish, the girl he wanted to marry. Yep.
God, what a tragic movie. Because he takes random pills. He just has a headache and shit. And someone gives him these pills.
They give him
and he overdoses.
Yep.
Spoiler alert.
They didn't give him aspirin. They gave him some kind of barbiturate in pill form, which when you mix with alcohol is very toxic. And it basically, a lot of the times, especially if you're not used to doing that, especially in combination with something else, it'll make your heart and lungs stop working when you fall asleep, and that's why he died.
Right. Damn it, man. All right, let's get back to it.
But anyway, we digress. But his son is a goth dandy. So back to what you were talking about. Yeah,
I thought you were going towards like liberal cuck or something. I thought you were gonna say that was the new term for dandy or something like that.
No, those guys are just fucking. I don't prescribe to any political ideology or form. I honestly, I'm of the opinion they're all full of shit, and anybody that's like too into one side, I was like, I think you're.
Isn't that crazy?
I think you're kind of missing the point. Like,
I know, which I know myself. I lean a little left, but I'm not. I'm not one of these woke fucking pieces of shit who like tries to cancel everybody.
Right, or it's just like
But I'm more liberal than
not to. And not to also. Not
I know
to,
we shouldn't get on this topic, should we?
But fuck it,
It's fine.
I'm
Go
gonna
ahead.
say. I'm gonna say what I say.
Say your shit.
Just to like kind of like even go more into that. It's kind of like for example, like transgender issues are the shit that's hot right now. So you can't fucking make jokes about
and drag queens.
That I think that's under the ban. So you can't make jokes about it, right? And it's just kind of like one of those things where if you're not on, transgender rights, like if you don't like fight back against people that make fun of transgender people, then you're a transphobe. Like it's just like that's that like that groupthink mentality kind of shit where it's just like
it is like a tribal.
Yeah, it's like tribal, and I'm like no. I was like I think everybody should be treated like human beings.
Yeah,
but
just
I also
respect
think
one
like,
another.
And it's like if your name is fucking Bob, but you want to be called Marsha, I'll fucking call you Marsha. I don't care.
Yeah, all day. Who gives a fuck?
I don't give a fuck, man. It affects
doesn't,
my life
it doesn't
in no
affect
way.
My
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
Exactly.
But at the same time,
live
it's just
your
man,
life as long as you're not hurting nobody. Or...
Yeah, but at the same time, you're gonna have people that don't. It's not that they're disrespecting it; they just don't understand it. That doesn't make them transphobic. True. It just means that they're not ready for that kind of shit, man. And it's like you gotta kind of let people have a little bit of a wide berth with stuff sometimes.
And it's kind of what was I gonna say? Like it's people grow up with that shit. They're
yeah. Well, and it's this kind of
it's kind of not their fault because they just kind of their parents or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and it's ironic because I've heard so many liberals like call right-wingers fascists, but then anytime someone says something they don't agree with, they want to cancel them. I was like, the irony of what you're missing is everything that you're doing with your actions right now is indicative of fascism, and the fact that you don't see it is kind of fucking hilarious. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? It's
I know.
It's like, oh, well, you don't agree with what I agree with.
A lot of it is, when you get to the extremes on the left or right, a lot of it's hypocritical shit. Yeah. Like it's like they're damn near the same thing.
I think that's why having an inquisitive and a mind that questions kind of everything, I think it's important. I really kind of think it's important to remain in the middle.
For sure.
And kind of accept that even though it's just weird. It's a weird climate today, man. Because so many people... It
certainly is.
So many people just can't accept that just because someone has a different ideology.
I know.
From you,
it's like we're all sharing this world. Come on, let's be respectful.
Right. And it's like, and there's enough turmoil and there's enough assholes in the world. You don't need to make more problems.
True that.
And that's what Wizard of Oz boils down to.
To bring it back around to Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, you gotta follow that yellow brick road, son. You gotta make it happen brick by brick. We gotta build each other up. Like
I was wondering when we were gonna bring it back around.
Y'all are welcome, listeners, if you're still with us. Like,
hey, we went off on a tangent. Well, we brought it back,
and we're right back to where we need to be.
So let's God damn it. This is such a long episode. I apologize, people.
I fucking
if you
don't
like
it's great.
It.
It's
I love it too, man. I think this is a good episode. Anyways,
it's gonna be one of those Joe Rogan 3-hour episodes, like
damn near. So the Wizard of Oz is the psychic guy at the beginning, right? Yeah. She meets that guy the psychic on the side of the road or whatever. And I like how they did that. How they have these characters from the real world appear again in the fantasy world and shit. I enjoy that a lot. Oh, okay. This is towards the beginning or towards the end too, when they meet Oz and shit. And one of the things he says is anybody can have a brain. That's a very mediocre commodity. And he gives him a diploma, you know what I mean? Yeah, Scarecrow. And I think that's a very poignant fucking sentence also, line in the movie. Like, if you... anybody can have a brain. Like, I don't want to just repeat myself, but...
Well, yeah, I can get what you're getting at.
It's a mediocre commodity. Like, the way he, like, devalues it, even though the Scarecrow was, like, just... He wants a brain. That's his thing. Which, obviously, he already does, you know.
Right. Well, it's... I think the point of the quote is, you know, everybody has a brain, but most people just...
Don't use it.
Yeah, they choose not to use it, like,
to its full potential.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping me with that.
Well, no problem. That's what I'm here for, bud.
I do think you're good at talking movies, man. I think you're better than me at talking movies, which is like a plus for me because I bring you on to talk movies, and I'm kind of riding your coattails.
Hey, man, that's what I'm here for. I'm just here to help, man. I just like doing it. Like,
well, because you know, like you don't really jot down notes, but yet you fucking talk, and you got a good flow going and shit. Like, I don't have that. For some reason, my brain is just, I like block myself from like speaking freely. I think, I don't know. I think that's an introverted thing, an introvert trait.
don't feel bad. I'm just broken as a person, so I don't feel bad about just saying whatever's on my mind.
Sure.
And so, like, I think that's just a part, like, one of my quirks. Is
I love that about you.
Yeah, I'm just kind of a pice of shit, and I'm just gonna say whatever. Yeah. And if you don't like me for it, well, I'm like, well, fuck you. I don't really care.
I know. I think I'm so self-conscious, man. I don't know. Anyways, he told this Tin Man, you wanted a heart. You don't know how lucky you are not to have one. Hearts will never be practical until they can be made unbreakable.
I think that's actually
a really powerful fucking I think that's a really message good quote. Too.
Yeah. I had forgotten about that quote.
Yeah, dude. See, there's a lot of fucking substance in this dialogue, dude, which is great. I love it.
What he's saying is emotions make you weak.
Or that's not quite what I get out of it.
No, I'm just being a shithead. Like,
no, that's great. What he's saying is like he's talking about like breakups and shit like that. You know, like your heart will break, or if someone dies, maybe with someone close to you, and so he's saying without a heart, you're not feeling that much hurt, I don't know, from that sort of tragedy or whatever. A heart is not judged by how much you love, but how much you are loved by others. That's another quote, bro.
That's a good one, too.
Good one. That's great really quotes in this movie. Great dialogue. Oh, yeah, he says, return to the land of E pluribus unum. What does that mean? Do you know what that means? Because it's on, like, dollar bills and shit. Or E pluribus unum.
The only thing I can say, it's Latin, but what it stands for, I don't remember.
I'm giving it a goog. Out of many, one. Wait a second. Out of many, one. That's all it says. The motto of the U.S.
Okay. I think it's kind of like that.
One from many, I guess. A Latin phrase meaning one from many, which was chosen for the Intercontinental Congress when a single country was created from the 13 colonies.
One from I get it.
So it's just like a
It's basically saying
all together.
it's one for all, that kind of shit. Yeah.
All right. See, I didn't look that. I should have looked that up previously, but a couple more things. We're really going long. Dorothy
It's
Lewis.
fine. It's fine.
It wasn't enough just to want to see Uncle Henry and Aunt Em, and it's not. Oh, that's her lesson from her, lesson from the whole story. She's like, what? They ask her what she learned or whatever. She's like, it wasn't enough just to want to see Uncle Henry and Aunt Em. It's that if I ever go looking for my heart's desire again, I won't look any further than my own backyard, because if it isn't there, I never really lost it to begin with.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very much like
It's very poignant.
Appreciating what you have kind of mentality.
Yeah. Another quote at the end is the Tin Man. Now I know I have a heart because it's breaking when she's leaving, when Dorothy's leaving.
Yeah.
Which is like, I want to cry. And then I'm at the end credits. The end credits, it said the singer midgets as the Munchkins.
Yep. You mentioned that. Yeah.
They fucking
got paid less than the
first one
dog.
was from the opening credits. This is from the end credits.
No shit.
So it says the singer midgets as the Munchkins. Come on, give these people a name. They're people.
You're not people.
You're half the man I used to be. And I still got some facts, but so the guy who played the Scarecrow, his name is Ray Bolger, right?
Right.
Do you ever remember the Simpsons quote? For some reason, I hear Ray Bolger and I think of the Simpsons. So this is a little clip from the Simpsons, everybody. Just because it mentions Ray Bolger. Oh shit! Hold on.
Celebrities, huh?
Yeah, what gives you the right?
We love celebrities! Oh, yeah? What have they ever done for you? When was the last time Barbra Streisand cleaned out your garage? And when it's time to do the dishes, where's Ray Bolger? I'll tell you, Ray Bolger is looking out for Ray Bolger!
I forgot about that, dude. That just made me love old Simpsons even more. I feel like I gotta go fucking watch a bunch of old Simpsons episodes.
It's worth revisiting, bro. Simpsons rule.
Dude, fucking seasons 3 through 8, some of the greatest television you'll ever watch.
For sure.
Ray Bolger's looking out for Ray Bolger. Yo.
What a fucking weird person to throw into that dialogue.
Right? A fucking actor from the 30s, yeah. But Simpsons kind of is great for that, though, to digress a little bit.
Sure.
Especially, season 3 through 8, before the writer's strike, when they had, Conan O'Brien was one of the writers on The Simpsons.
Exactly. Those were the best seasons, bro.
It's because they had the fucking best writers, dude.
Conan is amazing.
Nope.
All right, almost done with this. I just got a few facts, and I think we already talked about half of these facts. Toto made $125. Munchkins made $50. The witch was burned.
Yeah, she was. Fuck that bitch. She got what was coming to her. You're next, Glinda the Good Witch. You're going to get what's coming to you, too.
Margaret Hamilton, who played the Wicked Witch, was badly burned, making her smoky exit from Munchkinland. Her dress, hat, and broom caught on fire and severely burned her face and hand. She had to recuperate for 6 weeks before resuming filming. Interesting. Oh, yeah. And also, if that wasn't enough, her green face paint was so toxic that she and several other actors couldn't eat once it was applied and had to subsist on a liquid diet of via straw during the day.
Oh, yeah. It probably was fucking lead-based, man. Like, because they didn't know about that shit
I
back
know.
in the day.
That's what I was saying. There's a lot of production nightmares on here. Plus, her face stayed green for weeks after shooting because of the copper-based ingredients. Crazy, bro. The Scarecrow's face prosthetics that Ray Bolger wore left a pattern on his face that took more than a year to vanish. So he had that like burlap fucking
Oh God!
shit on his face.
Well, by the way, that from now on this podcast, everyone, that's gonna be a thing that we do. Ray Bolger,
Ray Bolger is
looking out for Ray Bolger. Dude, what episode is that from? Because we have to watch that after this.
We can. Oh, we'll figure it out after this. Let me get through these. According to research of University of Turin, this movie is the most influential film, meaning that it's influenced more films than any other single film. The Wizard of Oz beat out Star Wars and Psycho. Interesting. So it's the most influential film of all time, according to researchers, which is a good thing. You don't agree?
I mean, it's no. I would say it combines so many genres, especially given the time it was created. There's really during its time, there's nothing like it. Like, I mean, who fucking would watch a movie about a magical land with witches in fucking 1939?
Scarecrows and Tin Mans and lions.
Think about how pro-Protestant / Christian American was at this point, and nobody.
Oh, you would think they would have like said it was the devil or something.
Well, and that's kind of what I find funny is nobody
like
was
how they did with Dungeons and Dragons
and
or
Harry Potter. Like, yeah. Well, and that's kind of the bullshit of. Well, we can talk about that on another podcast. This is already run long enough.
I know.
I could say so much about that shit. I just kind of find it funny that was a period in time that was probably the most hyper-Christian in the United States.
For sure.
You didn't have any of that kind of bullshit like when this movie came out.
These Christian, they really go after things.
Well, them and the rainbow people both. Like.
Okay. Oh, all right. So another thing about the production nightmare real quick. The snowstorm, when they're in the poppy field, was actually asbestos. They were raining asbestos down on the actors. Did you not know that?
I didn't know that. That was something new, but
which is highly toxic.
So it explains why Judy Garland was so fucked up for the rest of her life, though.
Was she? Did she have a rough life after that?
Kind of, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. All right. So we're at that point. How about rewatchability? Would you rewatch this? I know you weren't. It wasn't your favorite watch.
I'm gonna be honest. I wouldn't rewatch this movie on my own volition. It's just it's just not my thing, man.
All right, that's fine.
And part of it is just because I didn't say this when you picked it, but I just really don't like musicals. I have a.
I don't tend to go for musicals.
Yeah.
People love La La Land though, and I thought about watching it.
I don't think I've ever watched La La Land. Honestly,
it's Emma Stone and what's his face?
I've heard of it.
The
Yeah,
hot guy.
I know what you're talking about.
Gosling.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
People love it.
It's not my thing.
Yeah, I'm not a musical guy by any means, really, but I don't know. This movie rules. So ranking.
I'm gonna give it 2 ranks.
All right.
I'm gonna rank it by its historical significance.
Sure.
Which for that I give it an 8.
All right.
But for my personal enjoyment,
yeah, I like that you can recognize how substantial this film is.
I give it. you're gonna hate me for saying this.
No.
I give it like a 5, just because it's just not
Average. That's average.
It just wasn't all that enjoyable for me to watch. I found it to be kind of boring personally for me.
Okay. No.
Like I just really wasn't engaged.
I'm not offended.
I just really wasn't engaged with the movie itself. Like, but I find like all the symbolism, moving parts, like everything that like went into the movie, I find it's interesting to me. I find the history and the story behind the movie more interesting than the actual movie. So, personally,
before I get into my ranking, have you ever done the Pink Floyd sync up thing?
I want to.
I haven't done it either, but I kind of want to too. I'm not
the
hugest Pink Floyd fan. I like songs.
Same. I'm the same way.
You know, our buddy Mike, he's a big Pink Floyd. He's got a forearm tattoo of it, and he.
You know what?
He says it's awesome.
I would rewatch it doing that because.
And eat some mushrooms.
Exactly. Exactly. I would eat mushrooms. Listen to the Dark Side of the Moon and watch this movie again.
Sync it up. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Honestly, we should do that. I'm game. Let's do it.
Let's set a date, dude. We'll all do it.
Yeah.
The whole gang.
All the homies.
But yeah. All right. So my ranking, I'm at about an 8. I love it. I love it a lot. I probably could go higher, but yeah, I'll sit at 8. Great movie, man. And it just, like I said, all the dialogue is very on point.
There's a lot of poignant dialogue in this movie.
Yeah. So that's where I sit. I love this movie, and I will never not love this movie. So there's only one thing left to do. What are we getting into next week? You want to go first, or should I?
You go ahead and go first, because I got like I'm playing with 2, and I kind of want to see what you pick. And
Fiddling with them. All right.
Fiddle.
So I was gonna pick a different movie, but recently I bought something on Amazon, and like something I hate about Amazon is like you could accidentally click one button and you just subscribe to a month of Amazon Prime, which is what I did.
Dude, just use mine, man.
Do you still have Amazon Prime?
Yeah, just use mine, man.
Well, I already bought the month, so I'm going to quit after this month. But I'm picking an Amazon original.
Okay.
So, yeah. It stars Steve Carell and Timothy Chalamet. Do you know where I'm going? This is it's a drama, heavy drama. You know, Steve Carell is actually pretty good at drama. He's known for like The Office and being silly and shit, but he's a good actor.
No. I remember watching Foxcatcher. He was fucking great in it.
I don't know if I've seen that. But yeah, it's an Amazon. It's called Beautiful Boy. You know nothing about it?
Nothing about it.
I've seen it once, and basically the only thing I remember is, like, you know, Steve Carell's the dad, Timothy Chalamet is the son, and Timothy Chalamet has, like, a drug problem. That's basically all I remember.
Got you.
So, I remember I liked the movie, so it's on my list of ones to pick. So now I'm picking it since I have Prime right now.
See, I was torn between 2 M. Night Shyamalan movies.
Ooh, Shamalama Ding Dong.
But I'm going to tell you the one I considered picking first.
All right.
Considered picking The Sixth Sense first.
Uh-huh.
But the ending of that movie is so widely known at this point that it's just like it almost ruins the experience, because that was what made it so great.
That one's sort of on my list of things to watch, but not on top priorities.
Well,
because I haven't seen it.
Well, if you would have saw it
when it came out,
if you would have seen it when it first came out,
before all the spoilers,
you would have thought it was amazing.
Sure,
because like it's such a surprise.
Isn't that crazy how time passes and like now you can't experience it the way you should have?
You know, I still love that movie. I think it's his best movie to date, hands down. It's a really good movie. However, it's not the one I'm gonna pick.
What are you picking? Give it to me.
The next one, I think, is his second best movie.
All right.
It's a movie called Split. And it's got James McAvoy.
Okay.
And the reason I'm picking this movie
I haven't seen it.
Because James McAvoy plays a schizophrenic, and he literally plays like
all kinds of
13.
different
He plays like 13 different characters.
Yeah.
And it really shows his acting range. I'm just like, I think just for even if you don't like the movie, I think just appreciating that, I'm picking Split because I think you'll appreciate his range because he's fucking dude. James McAvoy in Split is so good.
Is that streaming? Do you know?
I'll fucking rent it, man.
I'm looking it up right now. Hulu. It's on Hulu apparently. I don't subscribe to Hulu, but we'll rent it. Whatever. Cool, man. Great episode. Pound me.
Yeah.
Fist me.
Yep. Whenever you want, G. Like,
no, I know this was long and drawn out. But,
yeah, it was.
We had a lot to say, man. We had a lot to say about these movies.
It was fun to have a one where we really broke stuff down, man. Like, because I feel like the last one when we picked comedies, I was like, you know what, this was the wrong thing to do. Like,
it was so short. It's like we didn't have much to say at all. There's not a lot of substance.
We just fucking quoted the movies, and I was like, you know, as much as like, well, and it's like
we can have those episodes once in a while.
Yeah,
you know?
But I feel like as much as I love some comedies and like they're great on their own, they just don't have enough substance to really like do what we did. Yeah, to really dig. I mean,
cool.
Shit, dude. I don't really even like The Wizard of Oz, and I still was like, you know,
you had a lot to say about it.
It's an important movie, and so I'm like, I got to do it justice. And like,
I love it. I love it. Cool, man. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you made it this far, God bless you.
Like and subscribe, you swab motherfuckers.
Skippy.
Like,
donate to our cause. Yeah. And on that note, we cue the music.
not killing yourself. Like, that's not relatable. But there's a lot of stuff. Like,
well, it is to me. No, I'm kidding.
But really, though, I pretty much think about it every day.